Is anyone else getting tired of these negative headlines about CM Punk? Like, is Punk really the bad guy in this situation? Or is this just a classic case of
I'm fucking around to finding out?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Last year at All Out's Media Scrum, CM Punk infamously said,
If you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go.
And ever since then, it seems like people want to continue to test his theory. Because not even an hour later, the Elite were the first ones to test Punk by knocking on his door. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the brawl-out situation, as it's been beaten over the head by reporters already. But it's safe to say that biting people and throwing a chair at someone's head should be enough for people to realize they shouldn't step to Punk. But obviously, some people want to find out on their own. About a month ago, there were reports being made about a disagreement backstage between Jack Perry and CM Punk regarding a spot that involved a car. Apparently, Jack was approved for this spot to the point where he even rented a car, but reports stated that Punk disagreed with Perry, causing him not being allowed to do the spot. Fast forward to All In, Jack Perry had a match on the buy-in where he defended his FTW championship against Hook. At some point in the match, there was a spot where Perry dragged Hook to the top of the stage, where there sat a limousine. Jack then knocks on the windshield of the car and says,
Perry this is right launching here? And then crushing.
Real glass.
Crushing the
Go
abdomen.
cry me a river.
This led to another altercation between the two, with Punk apparently putting Jack into a headlock and choking him out. As of now, Punk's status within AEW is currently unknown. It also seems that every day, more information is being brought to light as there are new reports of Punk getting into a heated exchange with Tony Khan. At this point, if any of these reports are actually true, I think Punk's future in the company looks very uncertain. But the most annoying part about all of this is that even with AEW coming fresh off the heels of the biggest event in the company's history, the only thing people want to talk about is the CM Punk and Jack Perry backstage altercation. It's very frustrating as fans when we had such a great event at All In, only for it to be overshadowed by negative reports. Now, in my opinion, if Tony Khan continues down this path of allowing wrestlers to not get along, then I think there is a huge risk to the success of the company moving forward. But that doesn't necessarily mean you can't turn these real-life events into some on-screen storylines. Doing so could make for some legendary feuds and must-see TV. Imagine a Punk versus Perry feud after all of this. Or the obvious one, CMFTR versus The Elite. Now, before everyone starts to call me toxic and a CM Punk dick rider, let me explain. As we all know by now, Punk is quite the polarizing individual. He's outspoken, controversial, but also charismatic. It still surprises me that people are shocked by how Punk acts and how he handles his business. If you look back at Punk's history, then you really shouldn't be surprised by everything that has transpired since Punk showed up to AEW. I mean, the dude literally mocked Jeff Hardy's substance abuse, which actually caused real-life animosity between Punk and the Hardys. He even sat at the top of the ramp and told everyone how he's the best in the world and that WWE is misusing his talents. He always has been and always will be unapologetically himself. The people that are saying he's a cancer and shouldn't be with AEW are clearly out of touch. Do we forget that Punk was the first one to pull $1 million house that the company has ever drawn? Not enough? How about when he pulled in over 1 million viewers for his debut on Rampage? And let's not ignore the numbers that he pulled for Collision's debut episode. Let's be real and stop lying to ourselves. CM Punk is a commodity. Regardless if you love him or hate him, Punk is still an asset to the company. Now the question is, whose fault does all of this land on? Punk, Perry, Tony? The fault lands on all three men, but more importantly, Tony Khan. The reason it lands on Punk is because he really needs to keep his nose out of everyone else's business and worry about his own spots on the card. The reason it lands on Jack is because he never should have gone out there and make the comments he made during his match. Jack simply poked the bear. He fucked around and found out.
That's right. This random guy finds out a lot more than he was expecting.
But to be honest, it falls on Tony Khan the most. I mean, he's the boss. This is his company. If Tony was indeed in gorilla position when this altercation happened, then why didn't he do something to prevent this? We don't necessarily have every detail of the situation, but it seems like a lot of this could have been avoided. I will say, though, Punk really needs to chill out when it comes to getting physical with talent backstage. This isn't the Wild West of wrestling from the 80s and 90s anymore. You can't just start fighting with someone because of something they said. But what's crazy is that Punk has always been one of the best in terms of destroying people on the mic. So why wouldn't Punk just drop another pipe bomb on Jack? Doing that instead of choking him out could have actually been the beginning to an entertaining feud between the two. At the end of the day, this situation is very stupid and honestly should have been avoided. Jack should have never poked the bear. Punk should have never overreacted like he did. And Tony should have stepped in to stop this from happening in the first place. I'll give TK credit, though, because he has bent over backwards for Punk. From signing him for millions of dollars to making him the face of the company to creating a whole new show for him just to be separate from the Elite. At some point, Tony can only do so much to try to make Punk happy. As a fan, this is a very frustrating and sad situation. It seems like at every turn, when AEW has a great event or something positive going for them, it's overshadowed by negative reports. But I hope and pray that we can start to see a change with this. In a perfect world, CM Punk gets his emotions in check, and Tony Khan turns these ridiculous reports into storylines. Regardless of how Tony moves forward with things, I'm excited to see what's next for AEW. So that's about it for this one. The tangled web of drama, clashes, and controversies that have been circling around CM Punk. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of negative headlines and backstage showdowns. But remember, AEW has soared to incredible heights, and it's all because of the love we share for this incredible sport.
It's still real to me, damn it!
But let's not forget that wrestling has always thrived on conflict, both inside and outside the ring. It's what fuels our passion, drives us to tune in week after week, and ignites those unforgettable moments that keep us on the edge of our seats. CM Punk, with his firebrand personality, and Tony Khan steering the AEW ship, have the potential to turn these real-life clashes into something truly spectacular. Whether it's Punk locking horns with Perry, or even the explosive CMFTR versus The Elite scenario, the possibilities are endless. Thanks for joining us on The Shoot. Don't forget.
Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. YMCA. Like and subscribe!
Until next time, stay safe, stay excited, and keep loving wrestling.